we should be at like $16,000 an ounce gold, right? Just from a macro lens, where is the printed money going to go? That money is now going to an asset that is much better than gold, in my opinion, which obviously is Bitcoin.
In terms of why is the crab walk happening now, right? Bitcoin had a hell of a year last year. Gold and silver did not. I think that to a certain degree, the demographics are catching up. The fundamental question in Bitcoin is, will fiat die? And if it dies, what are we going to switch to? Are we going to switch to gold or are we going to switch to Bitcoin? The longer fiat lasts, the better it is for Bitcoin, because the more likelihood that we just go switch straight over to Bitcoin. And as that happens over time, I think that we're destined to asymptotically approach that $5-6 million mark in today's dollars.
It makes me a little less annoyed at watching crab walks. One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Mines, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantmines.com/sessions. Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift. More strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan, nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible.
I've been talking a little bit about gold the last, I don't know, I'd say pretty much since January, February of this year of 2025. I think gold bugs and Bitcoiners, we're literally two sides of the same coin, except that I said this on the last time I was on here, is that I feel like gold bugs are almost pessimistic about the future and Bitcoiners are optimists about the future. We believe in the same principles, but I feel like gold is running because if you watch that episode with Luke Groman over on What Bitcoin Did, shout out to Luke, he's also a fellow Clevelander. Basically, he's talking about how if gold actually gets repriced again to where it typically is with certain ratios of how many foreigners hold treasuries and things like that, we should be at like $16,000 an ounce gold, right? But the problem with that is that gold can be repriced at any time. Fiat can be inflated. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It can't be printed. It can't be seized. It can't be revalued by decree because if they raise rates, it may hurt our position. It may detonate the dollar. It may lose us our world reserve currency if someone else steps up to the plate, which based on our conversation earlier, I don't think is going to happen. If they cut rates, they debase the dollar, which they may do a couple more times this year. And if they print more, they're going to try and, inflate away our obligations, right? And ultimately, where does that printing go? It goes back into the greatest form of money ever created, which we all know is Bitcoin. So mine is more of like a base structural case of like everyone knows the money's made up. Everyone knows, it's basically monopoly money at this point, always has been. But that money is now going to an asset that is much more better than gold, in my opinion, which obviously is Bitcoin. So it's basically just getting back to the fundamentals. There's some technological things that we can talk about, but if you want to look at like hash rate, it's never been higher. Infrastructure is there now, and I think nation states are obviously getting on board. But just from a macro lens, where is the printed money going to go? It's going to go into hard assets, and for me, that's Bitcoin.
Awesome. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on gold's. Marco put in his piece here, but Peter, Eric, the thoughts on what's been happening to gold and Bitcoin kind of crab walking and dipping sideways the last little bit. I know these are very short term kind of things, but what do you think is the mindset that's contributing to what we've been seeing lately?
Yeah, I think the debasement trade, I think that's absolutely right that, this sort of long-term trends on government debt, government deficits, there are, I think most of the major countries in the world now have deficits that are 4, 5, 6%. That used to only happen in an absolute catastrophic recession. Okay, and you've got what the U.S. is 1.8 trillion, so that's about 6%. Japan, most of Europe, Germany, which had traditionally been very, very fiscally conservative, is I think they're looking at about 3% now. Again, these are all numbers. These were like horror show numbers for our whole lives, all the way back to the Nixon shock. And now this is the new normal. We are eventually going to have a recession here. And, history says that when you hit a recession, those deficits tend to blow up. Historically, maybe 2 or 4% on top of that. We'd be looking at 8, 10% deficits. That's ridiculous. That's far worse than Japan had been doing at its worst spell these past couple of decades. That's getting into Weimar territory. And so I think what happens, what Eric mentioned earlier, you've got different demographics on Bitcoin and gold. Silver is probably somewhere in between. And so I think that the Bitcoiners tend to perceive these things really fast, right? They're aware, they're passionate, they're still thinking about their future. The median gold, I don't have any statistics on this, but I'm going to guess the median gold owner is probably in their mid 60s. They're not paying attention to their assets so much. They're pretty much out of the game. They've got a park. They got the permanent portfolio with the 28% in gold. They're not following it day to day, but they do on a lag. And so I think that gold and silver are sort of catching up to Bitcoin in terms of why is the crab walk happening now, right? Bitcoin had a hell of a year last year. Gold and silver did not. I think that to a certain degree, the demographics are catching up. I think another factor on the crab walk is that a lot of what's driving price in Bitcoin is adoption factors, right? So you've got the Russia thing, you've got Trump with his Bitcoin reserve, which, right after the election, it looked like he was going to pay back Bitcoiners, and then he didn't. He paid in regulatory changes, but he hasn't established a Bitcoin reserve for anything beyond seizures. You've also got little just sort of drips and drabs from all over the world. So Sweden, a couple of MPs in Sweden introduced a bill pushing for a Bitcoin reserve in Sweden. That's a country that could catch on for other European countries as well. You had a move in Japan recently to allow banks to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So there's a lot of adoption moves in Bitcoin, and depending on the ebbs and flows of that can then impact price. ETFs, of course, that's been probably the biggest story over the past year. So those can affect it. Whereas when you look at gold or silver, there's little movements here and there. I think Texas moved to make gold and silver legal tender. You've got a little bit of sort of this adoption type, news factors, but I don't think they're as substantial as they are in Bitcoin. And then, of course, gold is just a larger market, right? So if banks can hold gold on their balance sheet versus if they can hold Bitcoin, one of those is going to have a much, much bigger effect because the size of Bitcoin, it's roughly 2 trillion market cap. That's about 10 times smaller than gold. It's like a tsunami running up a canyon, right? A little bit of water goes a long ways.
And just to the demographic part in and around gold versus Bitcoin, I've seen an interesting thing this year. Just looking at demographics, just even on the channel, I'm looking right now, and between 45 to 65 makes up roughly 50% of my entire audience is in that demographic. So, kind of, further into your careers, probably have a few assets, have some disposable income, have some savings. And those people are beginning to, a lot of them are former or current gold bugs that are understanding that Bitcoin is a play on that with improvements when it comes to physicality, transportability, divisibility, all those things. They're seeing like, oh, geez, like I understand why this is. Now I need to understand how to utilize it. And so it's really cool to kind of see that specific demographic hone in on it, because it's a lot of people that get the why, but are maybe a little technologically timid. And I think that's kind of why they hone in, because there's lots of tutorials and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that dynamic there. And if it's any indication, again, you've got a demographic that didn't grow up with Bitcoin always being there, but now we're going to have a younger generation that grows up to take on that demographic that will have always had Bitcoin as an option there, and will maybe think it's a little less odd, maybe have a little less questions in and around the why, and will already know the how. So, the coming decades could be very, very interesting. So,
all right. So we've got the debasement thing. We talked about that. The other thing that I'm excited about is the generational trade. So there's this great line by Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He says, anything invented before you're born is normal, ordinary, it's part of the world. Anything invented up to age 35 is new and interesting. Anything invented after you're 35 is against the natural order. A lot of you guys will know that quote. Bitcoin, right? I think the fundamental question in Bitcoin is, will fiat die? And if it dies, what are we going to switch to? We're going to switch to gold. We're going to switch to Bitcoin. If fiat dies, how much is Bitcoin worth? Right? So that's pretty easy. You take all the money in the world, you divide it by all the Bitcoin in the world, you get 5-6 million. Boom, there you go. So the question is, what are the probabilities? I think we are almost certain, we've been talking about it all, that fiat is going to die. The question is simply when. It's died many, many times before. All of the trends that we're seeing right now have been repeated many times, as the Roman Empire, the Song Dynasty, China. Fiat dies 100% on a long enough timeline. And then the question is, what do we flip to? That Douglas Adams quote, right? That idea that, like, if fiat dies next Tuesday, almost certainly we're going to go to gold, and then we're going to be sitting about kvetching about how Bitcoin is better than gold. If, however, fiat dies in 10 years or even 5 years, there's an escalating chance that we're going to skip the gold section. We're just going to straight to Bitcoin. So fundamentally, partly we were talking earlier how as Bitcoiners age, they have more assets and now they can put more money into it. That's one factor that I think is a huge tailwind for Bitcoin. But the other is that demographic question. Now, it doesn't have to die for that to impact the price, right? Like, it's kind of a dynamic equation. So you ask, all right, when is fiat going to die? So it's almost like the longer fiat lasts, the better it is for Bitcoin, because the more likelihood that we just go switch straight over to Bitcoin. And so asymptotically, therefore, as those probabilities increase, both that fiat dies younger and that more and more people are using Bitcoin, they're accustomed to it. It was, invented before they're born, and they actually have assets. They actually have influence over organizations. As that happens over time, I think that we're destined to asymptotically approach that $5-6 million mark in today's dollars.
I agree. I would love for that change to take place. First of all, it gives time for myself, my family to stack away a bit of a nest egg, and for all the existing Bitcoiners that even like the brand new people just coming in right now, maybe watching the show for the first time, are thinking I'm too late, and that's couldn't be further from the truth, right? Like if you're trying to measure something that is static in supply, and your measuring stick grows forever at an increasing rate, then your vision of what expensive is going to be very skewed. Whereas the value in the broken ruler is always going to go up forever because it's broken. If we move back to gold, what does that look like? Well, a similar situation. We're going to put some gold in vaults, and then we're going to have an extraction of that. We're going to have an abstraction of that in the form, a digital form of some sort. But there's nothing explicitly linking, even if you have a blockchain. So again, new people, somebody's throwing the term blockchain at you, and it's on the blockchain. It's bullshit. It's like nothing explicitly links a token on a blockchain to a physical asset, for sure, right? You can say there's a token that represents an ounce of gold, but that ounce of gold can be stolen and there's still a token that exists. So, I think that if we were to move to a gold standard, we'd get some flavor of that, and people would erroneously think for a period of time, well, this is better than what we had before. So yeah, I mean, I like that thought, and it makes me a little less annoyed at watching crab walks.
Yeah, with what Peter said, I completely agree. I think at the end of the day, you guys, you have to zoom out when you feel like selling, which should be usually never, at least in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Just take a step back, check your fundamentals. Has anything changed? Has the bull case changed? Has some new technology been introduced that's really going to affect Bitcoin? And the answer in 2025, October 22nd of 2025 is no. So for me, I'm still not selling. I'm going to be holding for many, many years to come. And if you have children or someone that you care about or a charity that you care about, think of them before you click the sell button.
Hey, you. Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.